Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Comic Aficionados. My name is Jimmy the Geek Aficionado, and I have a new show. And this is very relaxed, very laid back. Going to be talking to some people tonight. We have a very, very important guest, a good friend of mine, and someone I love to talk with about comics, and that is DS Comics. How are you, sir?
What's up, man? Good to be here. Thanks for inviting me on, and it sounds like it's going to be an interesting show. So yeah, I'm always pumped to come on and talk about a variety of topics with another high-level collector, investor, guy in the hobby. So yeah, this is good.
Excellent.
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thank you for taking the time out of your busy day. Or evening, I should say, and it is busy because you're going to be on another show after this, right?
Actually, I'm not tonight. I've got to get up super early tomorrow, so I'm not going to. That one usually runs from 10 p.m. to like 2 a.m., and I just can't do
Yeah.
that tonight. But I'm going to
They
plug it
run
anyway.
a
I don't know
long
if they're
time.
still
Yeah.
doing the show, but it's on Comic Core every other Thursday at 10 p.m. It's the Golden Guys, and it's the Golden Age, and just market and investment collecting sort of chat. We just ramble on for a few hours about cool stuff, mostly Golden Age. I won't be there tonight, but they might still be doing a show tonight. But yeah. So
Yeah,
this is
well,
going to be the end of my night.
I can't imagine that they wouldn't be doing the show tonight with this Golden Age showcase auction you were just telling me about. Let's tell me about that.
Yeah, so it's a nice little surprise. In the middle of the week, they're doing a PCH auction on Heritage, and I think it's just tonight, but it's ongoing right now. It's part of the Black Cat collection, which there's an Instagrammer. And then the Instagram name is Black Cat Collection. That's what he sort of named himself in his
Oh, okay.
collection. And he's probably, without a doubt, the best PCH collection ever amassed and put out to market. He basically collected essentially the highest or almost the highest grade of all the classic PCH covers, and had almost just basically everything PCH across the board in super high grades. And after collecting for several years, quite a while, I guess, more than several years, he basically sent it all to Heritage to sell it all off, and they've been doing blocks of it in auctions. And tonight's one of those blocks.
Wow.
And they mix in some other PCH that's not from his collection, but it's like a PCH focused auction. It's ongoing now. So I'm watching that on the other screen, and maybe I'll spend some money while we're talking, but probably not. But yeah, always exciting to have a nice auction in the middle of the week.
Absolutely. And if you haven't seen it, it's actually like a live auction with an auctioneer, right, going through and doing the bids and stuff like that. And are there people live at the location while this is going on, or is it primarily just internet bidding?
No, there's live people. They don't have the feed with the person at the podium, but I think that person exists down there in Texas.
No, I just saw it. I just popped it up, and is that not showing up on your thing? Like I clicked on the Black Cat,
I'm watching it. They don't have the live feed from the podium.
Maybe I clicked on it and it was just like an advertisement or something. But
yeah,
they
just put a photo.
It says live now, and then.
But yeah, there's live bidding. There's internet bidding. I don't know if there's phone bidding, but like this one I'm watching has got to be live and some internet bids going.
I apologize. I was actually when I popped it, I was like, I kind of freaked out. I was like, oh my god, can people hear this? And no, they can't hear it. It's just in my headphones. But it's a voice replay of the bid, like $2,200.
Yeah, that's their standard thing. When they do their signature auctions every couple months, they actually have a live feed of the person at the podium, and that's
cool.
The signature auction. I think there's one of those coming up in. It might be next week or the week after. I don't even know, but there's so many auctions and so many books, man. I can't even keep up with it. This market is just on fire, and there's no way to keep up with all these auctions.
Yeah. That stuff started since what? Since we got COVID? Well, these ridiculous auctions going on constantly, like every freaking day, every week. It's amazing.
Yeah, that and like claim sales on Instagram, which I've even done a few. I think 3 or 4 years ago they were occasional. Now there's multiple every night. That really developed as a new market for comics into its own during the pandemic of the last 2 years. Dealers and just collectors were stuck at home, couldn't do cons, so they've been doing these claim sales, and that's really blossomed. Yeah. I don't know if you remember 3-4 years ago, there wasn't that many. There was here and there.
No, people weren't using Instagram as a platform for that so much, you know. And then you had Facebook, the parent company, Facebook, where people would do whatever they would do. You know, I mean, I honestly I have seriously never purchased anything from anywhere. You know, I think I sold one book to somebody through Facebook once, right, and that was pretty much the extent of it. But yeah, I'm like, I buy off of Hiram's claim sales pretty much all the time. As a matter of fact, one of these packages to open up tonight is from Hiram.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, he runs a good regular claim sale with good stuff. Very well
and
done.
It's my first EC book, right?
Nice.
So that's huge for me, and we're going to get to those a little bit later. So I am going to open up something else right now while we're waiting for some people to join us. I actually got a couple of AOKs, and I don't get these very often, so they're pretty special. This first one is from Alec out in Florida, White Whale Comics, and I'm relatively certain I know what this is, but it looks like he included something else in there as well. We were having a conversation, so both, John's Comics with Kids, myself, and Whale, we are all really big Strangers in Paradise fans. Like, Something is Killing the Children is the first name popped in my head, but long names with S's. But Strangers in Paradise. So we're all really big fans of that particular series, and of course he did. And I was telling him I can't finish volume 2, right? Because the first volume was 3 issues, and the second volume was 14 issues. But come to find out that number 14 actually isn't really part of the story per se. But I was like, yeah, I haven't finished because I haven't found issue 14. Like, I got through the end of the first story arc, and I didn't start the second story arc. So he's like, hey, I found one, because he works at Coliseum of Comics. He's like, hey, I found a couple copies. I was like, do you need one? I said, yeah, I absolutely still need one. So he sent me not one, but 2 copies nice. Of issue 14, which is great. So excellent. But it's not part of the canon. It's not part of the actual story. So, but it is part of that run. So very much looking forward to reading that. It's from Terry Moore. And this was from 1996. So shortly after I got out of high school, 4 years or so.
Yeah, that's the year. 1994 is the year I graduated from high school.
I graduated in 92. Get that round file that. And then this next one here, I got, it was funny. For those of you who are watching or selling or buying on Whatnot, and are familiar with Skeff's comic knowledge, Skeff's been doing pretty good. So good that he has actually gone to full-time sales on Whatnot. That is now his job. So congrats to you, buddy, to making your dream come true. And I went on one of the things, and you just kind of sign up for the giveaway. And I guess he was just rolling giveaways. And I had jumped off, because I didn't get, the giveaway he was giving away. Apparently he was running multiple that night. And I won one, evidently. So it just showed up in the mailbox. I was like, okay, what's this? So we're going to pop this open and see what we got from Skeff's Comic Knowledge, or also known as Comic Man 80. Because what's funny is I went out to dinner with the two of them, and they look nothing alike. They really don't. So if you're still in the idea that they look similar, they do not. They just have the same beard. Looks like it's a We Live Age of the Paladins #1, so it's a free gift. So that's cool. Check that out. I know that We Live #1 was pretty hot for a while. All right, but here's the big one. All right, so for those of you who are not aware, there's a gentleman who's part of the community. He's over in Austria. His name is the Varangian Vigilante. And VV and I both have a passion for books of a certain type. Primarily, it's stuff like Red Sonja, like Barbarian stuff. He's a huge Conan fan. I sent him a stack of Conans for his collection not too long ago. And he said he came across something. He said you had to have it. Right? It had to be in your collection. And he's messaging me today, and he's like, "Hey, did you get the package?" I'm like, "Yeah, I totally got the package." I said, "I'm going to open it up tonight." So he's probably not watching right now, but I'm assuming he's going to be on the rewind because it is a little far from here. So he's plus 7 hours, I want to say, from here. But before I get to this, I just want to. I realized I've been remiss and I haven't been including the chat. And here we got Kenneth Bird in. We've got Unruly Simeon. TJ Slabdragon's going to catch the rewind. He's got to get back to work. Bake the Snakes here. Yeah. Simeon doesn't need more ways to spend money. Yeah, we're talking about what now? We're talking about heritage auctions.
Yeah.
Yeah, Unruly doesn't. Yeah, I believe we had a conversation, and he actually had uninstalled the app, and then I told him about something else, and he's like, "Crap, now I got to reinstall it."
Yeah, I have yet to go on Whatnot.
Yeah, VV is awesome. So we're gonna crack this thing open and see what it is. He said that I may be one of the few people in America that has a copy of this. Apparently, it's a printing from that's just Europe only. Thank you for the pull tab, sir. Makes a lot of good noise, but it keeps things safe. And he says it's going to look really nice next to the original copy that I have. So that really kind of piqued my interest as to what this might actually be. So we're going to try and stay blind with this. This is cool. So we've got a Batman Future State card. All right, that's pretty cool.
Cool.
I've never actually seen any of these before. So yeah, Batman is Bruce Wayne. They give away his secret identity right on the card. It's just, that's rough. All right. So he knows I love Joe Chiodo. So we're going to try and turn the rest of these over so I don't see them. I commented on this. He mentioned he showed it, but this is phenomenal. Jerry Iger's Flamingo with just a classic cover by Joe Chiodo. Here, I'm going to take this large screen format.
Oh, yeah, nice.
That is incredible. One of the kings of, I would say, current golden age or good girl art beauties. Just, between Joe Chiodo and you got Olivia de Bourdonnais, right? I mean, I think those are two of the bigger masters. But there's an Instagram called what is it, like World Art Daily or something like that. It's just incredible stuff that's always on there.
Yeah, if I didn't know any better, I would think that was a Dave Stevens if I ran across it.
Yeah, you would almost think that. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're gonna flip these around because I'm guessing the one in the top loader is going to be the big boy book. Oh, awesome! And I'm missing this one. This is Codename Knockout number 4, also Joe Chiodo. This is I think this is the last issue that I needed from that run that's a Joe Chiodo cover. There's a couple of Frank Cho ones that I'm trying to pick up too, but this was a racy DC Vertigo book, kind of like Gun Honey, really. So that's a great shot. Digging that. Thank you, sir. Always know what to get. Oh no, the big boy book is already here. I'm gonna tuck that under. And we're gonna look at this one. This is cool. It's Star Wars Darth Vader, and that's a Boba Fett cover.
Oh, that's cool.
Kind of digging that. We gotta get that out of the top loader though. That's just throwing too much glare. It's like there's a foil. Yeah, the lettering is in foil.
Nice.
So yeah, that is cool, very cool. Yeah, I dig that. Great bounty hunter shot there. Particularly with Boba Fett, so that's a very cool ad. But this is incredible. So earlier this week, and the timing is just amazing. Earlier this week, I released a video of what I was sending next to CGC, and there was 2 books in there that were duplicates that I was sending out. And probably my favorite comic book character, at least from DC, and that's Batgirl. And Superman und Batman,
Nice.
and it retells the first appearance of Batgirl in German. That is
that's real cool.
phenomenal. Oh my God, that is such a cool book. Yeah, he warned me. He says it's low grade. I don't care. It's low grade. This thing is getting slabbed, though. I'll tell you that much. It's going to go right next to the other one because that is very cool.
Yeah, that's a unique book for sure.
That really is. That is a very unique book. Oh, man, I am digging that. Thank you, VV, buddy. That is so cool. That is so very cool. Yeah, I'm gonna be geeking out over this one for a while. That is so very cool. Thank you actually for all of them. They're all fantastic. And I got to tell you that Jerry Iger's Flamingo. That's one I was. I put a list of Chiodo books that I had, that I needed to get, and that one is definitely on there. And I love it because I love the whole flamenco dancer style. The Spanish style. It's just that's a great cover. So love those, buddy. Thank you so much, very much. Love that. All right. So, that's enough of that. We got some more unboxings later. We'll talk about some more Golden Age. But you going out to the movies lately?
No. The last time we went to the movies, I think we saw Joker, which was that movie. Yeah. Sort of related to the Joker, but not really. But that was pretty good. And I think previous to that was Venom. We're not big on going to the movies. We usually will rent stuff when it comes available to rent, and we'll watch it at home. I just watched the other day the new Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, we
so
watched that again the other night when it came out. What'd you think?
I thought that was really good. I like the, I guess probably I'm the last person to have seen it at this point. There's not like any spoilers.
It might be, considering how much money that movie made in the box office.
Yeah.
It very well could be that you were the very last person to see it for the first time.
I thought it was pretty good. So that was the last one I watched, and then I guess Moon Knight's out on Disney Plus. I haven't watched that. I'm gonna wait until there's several episodes and then just watch them.
So I did check out Moon Knight last night, and I have no frame of reference. Right, I've honestly read no Moon Knight, and which is odd because it doesn't seem like a character that's like has a lot of interest for me. Yet I'm a big anthropology, archaeology fan, so the whole ancient Egypt and the Egyptian gods and like that should actually be very interesting to me. But like the character, it seemed like a low rent, crazy ass Batman. So I just kind of never really took to it. For that matter, but my wife really wanted to watch it, so we watched it last night. We checked out the first episode of that, and I love Oscar Isaac, I do, and it was an interesting portrayal. And he's very much he's doing a great job, I would say so far. With just one episode under the books. I guess what the point I was making is that kind of getting around to it is that I don't have much reference, so I don't know how comically accurate it is, or whether or not it's just, mashing everything together, or whether or not the characters are accurate or not. But it was definitely fun and enjoyable, and I liked it. So I'm looking forward to upcoming episodes of that.
Yeah, so Oscar Isaac, I don't know if this is the fact, but it strikes me that he is either has the record or is close to the record of playing the most characters in Marvel movies. I mean, he has done a few, right? He was Apocalypse.
I don't think he's done anything else though.
Maybe he's in other movies that are not Marvel.
Well, definitely for the genre, right? Like this guy can go to a Comic-Con and feed a lot of different lines, right? Because he's got Star Wars as Poe Dameron. He's got he's got Apocalypse, which I'm not gonna talk negatively towards his portrayal of Apocalypse. I don't think that he did bad. I think it was a bad script, altogether. I think that the actors that they put in there into these main roles didn't really have much leg. The only one who really did was the girl who plays Sansa, but I thought she was just the absolute worst casting possible for Phoenix. I thought
the Apocalypse movie was awesome. I liked it, but
it was just it was kind of all over the place. And then they whack my favorite X-Men too, so that really kind of, I think, was off-putting. they kill off Alex Summers like pretty much right at the beginning. So terrible. I didn't enjoy that one very much. I didn't enjoy the story on the Dark Phoenix very much, and I was characteristically enjoying those films for the most part in the past, but who knows?
The Dark Phoenix movie wasn't great, but I really love that X-Men crew of actors they've had over the last few movies with the Days of Future Past and the First Class, and then Dark Phoenix. I really like that group of actors for X-Men.
There was a lot of them. Like I thought the Jean Grey and the Cyclops were a little off base, or maybe it's not even so much their acting. Like I do think that the Jean Grey casting was not excellent, but the rest of them, they were pretty good. In terms of casting, but they didn't have much. Like I don't remember Storm having a whole lot of speaking parts. Like it was pretty much all Mystique until they killed her. And then it was like how they used Mystique in there to make her a good guy. Like Mystique's one of the best bad guys there is. In the X-Men group, you made her a good guy through the entire thing. Except when she was trying to be bad. That's the things that I was just like, kind of, from a story perspective, I thought just didn't really work to the character.
Yeah, I think when they do the new X-Men movies, if we get a new Disney doing X-Men movies, hopefully it won't just every single one be the same characters with the same villains and the same storylines. Like Magneto's huge. We don't need a Magneto movie again for a while. Like I'm good.
Yeah.
There's so many X-Men story arcs and villains that can be used, and they can cross over with other teams and other characters. So I'm really hopeful that, I'm sure it'll be good, but I don't want to see a Magneto versus the X-Men when Disney does an X-Men movie. I hope they do something different for change.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they're going to use Magneto, because you can't not use Magneto. It's just
I know.
Possible.
I feel like I've read a lot of X-Men stories that didn't have Magneto front and center, though.
Sure.
But we'll see.
Absolutely, yeah. And it'll be interesting to see how they actually kind of roll that out. Morbius coming out tomorrow.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's exciting. Yeah, finally, right? We've only waited 2 years for this movie to finally come out.
Who's playing Morbius?
Jared Leto, the guy who played the really bad Joker in Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that was, him. I don't think he actually did a bad job. I just thought the look of the Joker in there was kind of meh.
Well, I don't know. They're going the DC movies, like the Suicide Squad stuff they've been doing with those characters. They're all like these hyper modern versions of the characters, and I can't relate to those because I'm old and they don't look anything like the characters that I know and love. And it's just the Joker's getting less and less diabolical to me in these movies. Maybe that's just me, but he's just becoming like a cheesy caricature of himself every time they do a new Joker iteration. And I don't know. I thought the one from the Christopher Nolan movies was the best. That guy.
Absolutely, yeah, I hands down. And I questioned the casting, at the time, but I was completely wrong, and I can say that out loud in full view of everyone. That was spot on casting. He was incredible. He really was. And not to throw any spoilers, but there is a Joker appearance in the new Batman film. I know you haven't seen it yet, but be prepared for that. So we do have another Joker, and I think there's conversation abounds that he's going to be more involved in the next film. Who knows? Obviously it's just speculation, rumor, hope, just because he's showing up in there. We got Bill Miller showing up here.
Morbius is kind of like a bulky guy, though, isn't he? Jared Leto's not very bulky. Isn't Morbius kind of like jacked? Yeah, a little jacked.
It's one of those things that just kind of like bulks, whatever he's got, kind of bulks him out or whatnot. But I don't know that it, he's necessarily like jacked. He's not like Bane, and they put Tom Hardy into that. So we'll see how that rolls. We got all of the Netflix properties from Marvel available on Disney Plus now. So do you have Disney Plus?
I have Disney Plus. I have Netflix. I haven't watched any of the Netflix shows, but I'll watch them now.
You totally should.
I canceled Netflix, and I only signed back up for it when there's another show coming out, which in the last few years has only really been Black Mirror or the Ozarks. That's it.
Yeah. No, I get you. So one of the things that I noticed that changed is, and this is the question everybody had, they're like, oh, they're going to put, these brutal, and more adult themed shows onto Disney Plus, which is, primarily a children's platform, you could say, or 13 and under, or, somewhere in that ballpark. We got all the rest of the Marvel stuff on there, which is usually about PG-13, but they added a rating system to the profile. So if you haven't gone on and checked it out, go and click on try to start Daredevil, and it pops up with a thing to add a password if you want to, and prove and say yes, I'm 18. I guess they have to prove that they asked to make sure that they're not just turning it. Yeah, this is on Disney Plus. So that's how they're handling that.
Some of their stuff that's geared towards children, and it's not stuff I would let kids watch. And I've got a kid on the way, and I'm already thinking that's not something my kid's going to watch. And then, so I don't know if they're real consistent, but not to go down a rabbit hole. I don't know. I feel like at this point, what point does that do on internet or streaming services at this point? I mean, kids are going to watch what they're going to watch, and parents are going to let them watch what they're going to watch. I mean, I don't.
I've always come across as the more strict parent. There's this. I don't feel that certain content should be available for my children at a certain age, right?
Yeah.
And I do take into consideration that some kids are a bit more mature than others at certain stages, but I wasn't having them play Call of Duty Black Ops when they're 10,
right?
It's not appropriate. It's just not. So it took time. Like my daughter, she's 12, and now we're letting her play Fortnite. Because you are killing people, right? You're going out there with guns, you're shooting people. There's not a lot of blood. So we're like, okay, so, because it's not like body parts and dismemberment and explosions and stuff like that, we feel a little bit more, inclined. And I talked to my good friend, Alex, the comic hoarder. He's got, his kids on there. He's friends with them. So he knows what they're seeing, who they're hanging out with, who they're talking to. And yeah, so that made me feel a little bit better, right? Having somebody who's, I guess more of a mature adult than I am, really, to be able to give me that kind of guidance.
I think you and me are on the same page with this stuff. There's a natural progression that I think tracks maturity, and you can start off with Roadrunner violence, and then you can progress to some of the video game stuff with no blood, and then you can get to the hyper realistic stuff, and then it's just all out once you get to I don't know what 16.
Yeah. Then you're hitting Zombieland. Yeah.
I feel like that's pretty much starts to become wide open. But 12, man, 10, 12, there's a lot of damaging shit out there.
Absolutely. I mean, we told our kids, we're not going to watch a rated R movie with you, until you're at least 17, and even then we're going to be it just depends on whether or not we feel comfortable watching it with our kids. But yeah, who knows? We'll see how that rolls.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily about the violence. It's about the realism of it. Like Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner and Woody Woodpecker, especially Roadrunner, that stuff is as violent as it comes. People are getting crushed,
blown up, TNT,
yeah. But there's a lack of realism to it.
Exactly, it's
I don't think it's damaging in a way that some of these video games, man, you can't even tell the difference.
Oh, true, very true. Yeah, absolutely, couldn't agree more. So last thing I'm gonna talk about, and we're gonna transition to talking about some more some Golden Age, is there's finally news that there's plans to do a Nova movie / series, which I thought was pretty interesting, because I sent off. Well, let's get this. I sent off 3 of these last year, and they all came back in nice grades. So 8.0, 8.5, 9.0. But I couldn't pass this up last weekend. I couldn't pass up getting a 9.2 white pages for $3, because I know that book is going to climb up. I mean, hell, I had an 8.0 up on the wall for $400 that nobody was really looking at yet, but we know how that works. That book just starts climbing up, right? And the more news and gossip and speculation happens out there. But apparently they're not going to just do Richard Rider. They're also going to do they're also talking about including Sam Alexander as well, where he might break off and be part of the Young Avengers Champions, kind of group of young Marvel people, heroes,
Yeah, that'll be cool. I think the Nova movie would be cool. I look forward to that. Yeah, I had several copies. I remember when it switched over because I was buying Nova ones left and right in high grade for dirt cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, every day I was buying one pretty much, it seemed like. And they were coming back 9.2 to 9.6 or whatever. And then I was flipping them. And then I remember there was like a switch flipped. And then all of a sudden, you couldn't find any of them they skyrocketed in price all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And they held up pretty well, honestly, over that last, I don't know, it's probably a year and a half-ish, 2 years almost. They've held up pretty good. I think that character would be really good on the big screen. There's a lot of copies of that comic out there, so it's tough to get any further traction on it, but I'm not sure how far it's dropped down, so I haven't really followed that book since I haven't had any in a while.
Yeah, no, I get you. And it's to Bake's point, or to Unruly's point, it's going to keep climbing. I no doubt about that. But to your point, I don't know how many more raw copies are out there. Obviously people are sending them in, and there's been a lot of anticipation, right? Like that's been one of those books that people have just been anticipating. Like, oh, they got to do it, right? They went into space, they got to do it. They introduced the Nova Corps, they introduced Xandar, they got to do it eventually.
I know they got to.
Yeah, I mean, I am one of those people that I would absolutely love to see them do an adaptation of Annihilation, right? I think they should be leading towards that, especially with the introduction of the Fantastic Four at some point, where a lot of those cosmic characters kind of came in from, Annihilus and such. So that should be a lot of fun to be able to actually
the whole space area in Marvel, they're barely scratched the surface with the Thanos stuff. And the Captain Marvel, they barely scratched the surface. There's so much
true
with Surfer. Thor sort of has been cosmic, but I mean he's got so much more else to do. You got Nova and a lot of the other like big villains. There's a lot of space stuff to do, especially Surfer and Fantastic Four. Man, that just opens the gates.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle this Thor: Love and Thunder with Gore the God Butcher and everything. So I'll be definitely interested to see how that rolls out. Yeah,
and then Doctor Strange, he ties into all this stuff too. I've noticed they're sort of giving him little parts in all of the movies. Like Thor Ragnarok, he had a little bit part in that. And then
it was the segue. Yeah, it was always the segue piece. Yeah,
because they're fully committed to that. So I'm expecting more things coming for Doctor Strange in other franchises other than his own Doctor Strange. Although the new Doctor Strange movie, I'm looking forward to too.
Absolutely, that should actually pivot off a lot of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely exciting. It's unfortunate they had to push it back a little bit, so we're looking for that in May now, I believe. But still, yeah, huge. And then of course I can't touch Strange Tales 110 right now because of that.
Yeah, dude. So I bought a raw copy.
7, and you had the 2.5.
Dude, I had a 9.4. I bought a raw on eBay.
What?
It was a beautiful copy. I bought a raw on eBay for $175, and it came back 9.4 white.
Wait. A Strange Tales 110 first appearance of Dr.
No, not Strange Tales 110. Okay. I was thinking of the Dr. Voodoo first appearance.
Oh, Brother Voodoo. Yeah.
No, the Strange Tales 110, I had 3 copies, and they're all gone.
You sold them all?
Yeah.
Oh, so you had 2 2.5s, right? I remember that.
Yeah, I had 2 2.5s, and then
you had the ugly one, and then you had the one with the chunk missing.
Yeah, I had a white pager with the chunk missing on the back, and then I have a 7.0 white pager. It's on a payment plan, but it's like mostly paid, and I expect it probably be fully paid shortly. I mean, I got good prices on those. There's other stuff I want to do, and so I'm getting good prices back on them. And yeah, it's easy to say when you get a book, I'm going to hold this book forever, And then especially if you're an investor like me and there's other stuff you want to do, it's easy to say when you get the book, you're going to keep it. But then when the prices get to a certain point and you're looking at 50, 60, 70% gains on some of these books, you're like, yeah, maybe I will sell it. So that's sort of what happens on some of this stuff.
No, I totally understand.
I made a nice profit on the 7.0, and it's going to somebody in the community, and they got a good deal on it too. So it worked out, and I made a nice profit. So
is it Matt? I mean, it's a white pager. It had to be Matt, right?
No, I offered it to him. He was the first one I hit up, and I was like, man, I'm thinking about selling this. I'll hit
white
you
pager.
Well, no, he wants a 5.0 or a 7.5 or a 9.0. He doesn't want. He wants like 2.5, 5.0, 7.5.
He's got to do 2.5 grade jumps.
Or 9.0. Yeah, he does. Yeah. So if it was a 7.5, he might be interested, but he won't do a 7.0 or an 8.0.
All right. I mean, I guess I can see some logic behind maybe the particular defects.
I mean, I don't know. Look, I don't begrudge anybody their OCD tendencies in this hobby. You know, I've got.
This is true. This is true.
I get it.
Yeah, we're all a little crazy.
But it makes it tough when you're going after silver keys when you're only looking at 5 O's and 7 5s, and that makes it tough. But no, it's not going to him. I don't want to say who it's going to.
No, it's fine. Yeah, let's leave it. Let's leave that to them. Yeah. Actually, you know what? Let's switch gears a little bit here. So I posted something on YouTube that I wanted to kind of leave as a segue into the show here. Sorry, I got to work on the branding here. I got to work through this stuff. So the burning question is, who is the greatest artist of the Golden Age? And the options that I gave were Matt Baker, Alex Schomburg, L.B. Cole, Russ Heath, and Frank Frazetta. And we did get quite a few votes on this. So I was happy to see some turnout on that. And if you haven't voted yet, feel free to pop over there and cast your vote to who is the greatest artist of the Golden Age from those 5. Now I've had write-ins, right? Because it wouldn't be Bub if he didn't put Wally Wood in there. And as much as I would have loved to, right? I'm limited to the number of actual options that I can give. So that was one of the challenges right there. Was like I only had 5 options.
Yeah, if you had unlimited options, I would throw in probably Bill Everett and Lou Fine as options in there too.
Yeah.
But the 5 you picked, you can't argue with those 5. You got the heavy hitters in there. They're big names.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I would say those are, some of the Golden Age masters, right? At least of the more highly sought after works, at least from what I hear around the community and around the hobby is those.
Yeah.
Welcome Man Cave. So he heard that we were talking Golden Age and, his ears perked up. But yeah, so let's do a little, we're going to hold on that and we'll do a reveal for that near the end. But I did say I picked up some Golden Age stuff. So let's get into that and see what I got. Bought from some new people. This one came from, what is his name? Newsstand had him on. Newsstand Comic Collector had him on Instagram. This is going to drive me. You know what? I'm gonna apologize in advance because I don't remember his screen name. It'll probably come to me right in the middle of it. I'll just blurt it out like a crazy person. But he was doing a claim sale with Newsstand Comic Collector, and I was like, those look great, right? And I'm a fan of the particular, let's say, title, but I've never seen these in the Golden Age. So that was an interesting thing for me to come across. And it just kind of made me go, all right, well, I hit him up afterwards, and he was very accommodating. And he, we negotiated, right? Because I didn't want to spend a lot of money, but we negotiated on it. And I probably spent more than I should have, but they were very cool. And it's driving me crazy that I can't remember this guy's name. Like I said, he's fairly new, but he did a great job, great packaging, fast delivery. So if nothing else, I'll make sure that his name is included in the down in the description. But it was, I want to say was it 3 books or 4 books? It's 4 books. And these are just super cool to me. Yeah, there we go. All right. So you're going to dig this because
it's Golden Age. I definitely will no matter what.
Well, but this is right up your alley. It really is.
All right, cool.
All right. So first one, this is issue number 20, G.I. Joe. I'm a big G.I. Joe fan, like growing up on G.I. Joe when I was a kid. But I didn't even know they had, G.I. Joe Golden Age comics. I mean, I really hadn't paid much attention, but these are fantastic.
Yeah, what's on the guy's helmet? Is that a Soviet or what is that?
It's Soviet. Yeah, it's a Russian Red Star.
Oh yeah, nice. There's a painted cover too. It looks like.
It is. They're all painted covers. They're
Yeah,
fantastic. So these are
yeah, that's
Ziff
really cool.
Davis comics.
Yeah, Ziff Davis has a lot of painted covers across all of their titles.
Yeah, yeah. No, so this is fantastic. And like I saw these and I'm just was completely enamored by them. What's going on? Uh, and I was like I pulled the trigger, right? So I had to get them, and like now I'm like, okay, now where can I find the rest of them? But yeah, these are great books, and they're in phenomenal condition too. Especially this one. This one's got to be damn near mint, and that's something to say about a Golden Age book. And this is issue number 10,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Where he's coming in. But I mean, the corners are sharp, the colors are fantastic. But these are
yeah,
great, and
man, that's amazing.
yeah. And then you've got it's interesting. I don't know when these were done, so these might have been Korea, because we've got some more kind of Asian-looking guys with the red star on here. So I'm thinking they might be Korean.
Yeah,
So rather
I
than World War
guarantee
II.
those are early first half of the 50s is when those came
Yeah.
out.
Right. And then there's more gal trouble when the Tigress returns. Right. So I'm looking forward to seeing who the Tigress is. That should be fun. What else we got? Oh yeah, this is a good one. This is issue number 34.
Oh, cool.
Just phenomenal covers. Bonafide says definitely Korean War. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that era has, the World War II stuff is the most popular, mostly because of the timelies. But
Yeah.
that stuff's just completely off the wall and surreal on the cover art. And then when you get to the
It
Korean
is.
War, what we call the Atom Age War stuff, it's much grittier and realistic, and it's awesome in its own right. And I have most of the stuff I have is Atlas, but I really like that genre.
Yeah. And here's so there's the last one. This one's got a little bit more wear to it. Looks like it's got a little water damage. We can press out, clean it up a little bit. Yeah, this is number 8, and it's definitely looking. Yeah, this is definitely looking Korean War there. Right.
Well, Bonafide's in the chat, and he's adding that to his list because he's a fan of seat covers, and that's kind of nice. He collects
right.
seat covers. So Bonafide, if you don't have that one, you better put it on your list.
So this is Saunders. Looks like the cover artist.
Yeah, Norm Saunders.
Norm Saunders, yeah. So right down there. But man, these are fantastic. Just, and I'll be honest with you, I've been sitting on these for like a month and a half, right? Just I literally outside the door, I've got a stack that high of stuff that I've ordered and gotten in that I want to actually do shows and such like this on, but you gotta wait. Always waiting too much. So yeah, so those are some great Golden Age goodies that I got. Those
nice.
GI Joes, man, I love these. I absolutely love these. These are fantastic. But I can say that the gem of it is definitely this one here, number 10, because that thing is so clean. It is absolutely so clean.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the title even. It's so bright, that red too. The colors are good.
Yeah, I mean, and we know like red is one of the first things to fade out. I mean, fortunately, I got this nice, HD camera, right? So we can really get a good idea through this Mylar.
Yeah,
but that is some clean copy.
Yeah, nice.
So super excited about that. I can't wait to read them. Actually, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Good
so
stuff,
those
man.
are good. Thank you. But yeah, I like I said, I came across those. I had to get them, and I'm like, you know what? Let's get them. Let's talk about them. Bonafide says he thinks he has that one, and he definitely appreciates that cover.
Yeah, so
the
Atom Age War stuff, I primarily go for Atlas Russ Heath covers, but there's a whole, it's almost an undiscovered genre still in comics, and every time people see them, like you just discovered those, and you're like, you gotta have them, they're awesome.
Right.
That's how I felt when I discovered the Atlas stuff I got into. And I'll still show those off to people who don't collect Golden Age, and they're they really like a lot of them. So I think it's an undiscovered genre that's still cheap. There's not a ton of demand in that category yet, but the art is so good that I gotta think at some point it's really going to catch on. But if anybody's interested in that kind of stuff, there's a wide array of art styles and publishers, and it's relatively affordable still compared to what else is going on out there in the hobby. I mean, you can't beat the quality for the price on this category.
Absolutely. And Barbarian, I think, sums up this entire piece here with now you know, and knowing is half the battle.
Perfect.
Which goes back to our GI Joe that we grew up on, right? Which is the little PSAs at the end of the episode.
Yep. That was probably my favorite cartoon when I was a kid. Was probably GI Joe.
Oh, absolutely. GI Joe and Transformers were my number 1 and 2.
Yeah, me too.
And GI Joe is what got me into comics. So that's, to me, that's just bringing it full circle there.
Yeah, I never owned any of those 80s properties as comics when I was into the cartoons. I had the toys, and then I watched the cartoons. It never occurred to me that those were comics I could go out and get. I don't even think I knew about them because I was collecting Marvel, just standard Marvel comics. And then I was watching the cartoons of those, and I had the toys. And it wasn't until I got back in the hobby that I discovered all of these had comics that were pretty cool. And I think I've owned almost all like the 80s properties comics at one point. I think I even gave you a Voltron or Transformers or something.
I bought a Transformers number 1 off you that I pressed up into a 9.6. So that was that's dude, right there. So happy about that.
Yeah, and I had a couple copies of GI Joe 1 that were 9.4. Yeah, so I've had all those, and then of course, like everything else, I sold them too early, and they're worth thousands of dollars in high grade now. So
I bought a copy out of somebody's $10 bin, so $10.
I would never guess those would be worth thousands of dollars in high grade, even with the market stock. Never would have thought that.
Who was it? Kenny Comic Kid 84 had bought a stack of them off of a guy in his area, and I was like, "Hey, send me one of those," hit me up, let me know. And he's like, sure. And he completely forgot, and he wound up selling them all off. And then of course, they exploded.
Yeah,
that was like
cool books. They're cool.
That was like end of 2019, I want to say. So this next one it's a big one for me because it's my first EC comic. Sadly, it is low grade. And it's low grade because it's missing a large chunk out of it. I think somebody cut out an ad. But the best part of this cover is still on the cover. So I'm very excited about that. It is Vault of Horror number 37 with that Hanging Man. That's Russ Heath, right?
Or no, Russ Heath didn't
who is that?
It's probably, I don't know. You can see in the circle there, it's probably a Jack Davis. It looks like maybe in the circle on the bottom right.
Johnny Craig, that's right. It's a Johnny Craig Hanging Man cover. So it's very iconic, and it was $75. I got it off of one of Hiram's claim sales. And I just thought it was, I'm like, hey, busting in, I get a Vault of Horror EC classic that I can, have in the collection, even though it is low grade. But I'm digging the hell out of it, right? Because, you still have the main art of the cover there. You just, we're missing a large chunk up here with the masthead. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the best part on there, and it's a classic hanging cover, so you can't go wrong. Yeah, you're not finding PCH books for under $100 these days. You're just
not usually. No. And to Bill's point, that's one of the more expensive ones. It is, right? Because I've looked up the prices on the, on the ones that are better than 1.0, and this is a 1.0, right? Because it's missing that massive chunk out of there, but it's not going to hit 0.5. But yeah, they're expensive. They're really expensive. But like I said, I'm just excited because I got a copy, and it's in, it's still in relatively solid condition. The front cover, is obviously, kind of detracted with that piece missing out of there, but the portion that I like, the art piece that I like, is still intact. So
yeah, I mean, you got the important stuff there. Yeah, that's a nice copy for a low grade. It's affordable, man.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, $75, right? That was great.
So now you're going to go down an EC rabbit hole and There's a bunch of other good ones you can get. There's a
Oh, there
never-ending
are.
string of ECs to get. That are good.
There are, like, the one I really want is the Crime Suspense Stories 22. Right.
Yeah.
That's the one that I really want. Of course, everybody wants that one. It's the decapitated head cover that's been homaged to, to the ends of the earth, probably almost as much as Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man #1 has been.
Yeah, there's Crime Suspense Stories 22, and then probably Shock Suspense Stories 6 are like the two most iconic EC books. And the Shock 6 is the hooded clan members that have a girl tied up. It's a classic Wally Wood cover. And that one, I've had a copy of that before. I just saw one sell tonight. It was a 3.0, I think, and it sold for over $4,000, 3.5. So the prices on these ECs, especially the iconic ones, are through the roof. And I think as more people enter the hobby and filter down into Golden Age, the first stuff they go after is the iconic stuff that's around more than the other stuff. And it's the ECs and the timelies. And that stuff gets the most, the most attractive prices right now are in those as far as percentage gains, because there's enough around to move the needle on them, and they're iconic. So yeah, Crime Suspense Stories 22 and Shock 6, those are awesome books.
Two of the big ones, yeah. So I dug that. And then one of the challenges that comes with purchasing books of this age, right, is getting them in decent condition. And I don't just mean like the eye appeal of it, right, but because of the age of that, we run across brittleness, right? Because it's been exposed to the elements. It's been 9 times out of 10 they're not in a mylar, right? They're going to be just sitting in a box by themselves in somebody's attic, getting heat soaked for decades, right? And you and I were talking, and CGC has been putting a slight change on the labels, right?
Well, it seems to me they've gone a little hog wild with the slightly brittle designation. I have not seen such a preponderance of these on labels as I have lately. And I'm in a group of Golden Age collectors, a chat with Golden Age collectors on Instagram, and they're all saying the same thing. They're sending in books, even reholders and like CPR books, slightly brittle, slightly brittle, slightly brittle. And man, they were really cranking down on the slightest little brown part of the book. I think they're just putting slightly brittle on it. They've gone hog wild on this slightly brittle designation, almost to the point where I'm afraid to send in a cream to off-white Golden Age book because they might put slightly brittle on it. And I'm not alone. And I don't know. They need to come up with a better system for it, because when you say slightly brittle, it really hurts the value and the marketability of the book. But it doesn't tell you how much.
As soon as the B word comes in, it's game over, right?
But it could be just the little tiniest millimeter of a page, or it could be an entire corner. There's no quantifying of it. It's like binary for them. It's slightly brittle or it's not. And so they need to come up with something. And I would think like maybe a 3x4 grid on the back of the label that's in the shape of a book, and they could fill in the squares where they're finding slightly brittle, so you can see if it's just a little bit of a piece or a whole corner or the whole spine or something. But yeah,
for a company that we can barely get grading notes out of, I think that might be a stretch to
it's
expect
definitely
they would
a stretch.
do something.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to do it, but when you throw slightly brittle on a book, it hurts the value. It really does.
It does.
And
it does.
I think a lot of these books are not slightly brittle at all, and they're coming back that way. And I know guys who have said they've sent in their raws that were good and readable, and they're coming back slightly brittle, and they were, it was nice pliable pages. So I think they've gone a little over the top on the slightly brittle. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, it's a challenge. I can see, ever since they went away from the owl page whiteness, methodology, I'm sure that they're just, coming up with, new subcategories, in there, variations within the middle. I mean, I get that a number of the publishers, right, like Charlton, first one that comes to mind, never had white pages, right? So to say that it's constantly off white, right, doesn't really make sense, because their whiteness wasn't the same as Marvel or DC. So it does become a challenge, but yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. As soon as you throw that brittle designation on there, it does significantly change the value of the book.
Yeah, and traditionally they don't count the cover wrap in the page designation because it's different type of paper. It's on the outside, so you're going to have a ton of wear to the cover wrap that's not going to be present on the inside, and it's different type of paper also.
Yeah.
But you will traditionally find books at off-white to white that have cracking and chipping on the cover. That's not unusual for Golden Age, and I wonder if they are starting to count some of the cover condition as part of that overall page quality. I don't know, but that would make sense because there are a lot of Golden Age covers that have slight brittle parts to them as they chip, whereas the interior pages are supple. So I don't know where this is coming from. I haven't heard CGC speak about it, and it's really just sort of anecdotal at this point. I don't have a scientific study to prove it, but I feel like there's a lot of slightly brittle designations coming back, whereas there used to be not nearly this many. And it's from people that I know that are telling me their book was supple and coming back slightly brittle. So there's a lot of people in the Golden Age community confused about this and worried to send books in now.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. I mean, one of the challenges that I've been faced with recently, and we'll, kind of shift onto another issue with CGC grading, or not necessarily an issue, but just, more of a concern, is the Butterflied Corner that's been widespread through modern comics today. And I know that we're primarily talking about Golden Age, but since we're on the topic of grading, I have to bring this out there. And if you're not familiar with what a Butterflied Corner is, it's basically cover splitting on the corner, right? And it comes from one, bad paper from Marvel. Right, because I have not seen this actually happen on a DC book, right? 90% of the time, or at least 50% of the time, DC books are using cardstock on their covers, and their paper quality hasn't gone that far down on the covers themselves. I think they actually use a different stock, even on the regular covers as compared to the interior pages. But this is predominantly on the Marvel books, and if you've seen Butterflied Corners on any of your CGC returns for a DC, I'd love to hear about it. But the Marvel, it's happening on the Marvels because Marvel has been consistently using shit paper.
Yeah, I don't collect moderns, as you know, but I have had some pass through here, and I've had that issue on a couple books that I've pressed. Look, if you're not into Golden Age, a Golden Age book usually is not high grade to begin with. Okay, you're not chasing 9/8 with Golden Age books. True. But they're so robust. The paper is so thick and robust. Yeah. You can have a boxing match with the book, and it will survive.
Great quality, absolutely great quality.
People are, people who don't deal with Golden Age are like, "Ooh, it's dangerous to press that," or "I wouldn't mess with it." You can beat the hell out of a Golden Age book, and it takes the abuse and keeps on ticking. It's not even a problem.
Yeah. But no, they clean up nice. They press nice. Yeah. I love it. I love working on Golden Age
stuff, though. The paper is so thin and delicate and fragile and crappy. And it's really tough to work with.
It is. It's junk. And so this particular issue that we're talking about comes from one, poor paper. And two, when the books are packed into the boxes, they're packed in like sardines, right? So you got your corners rubbing up and down, during the transit, right? Because it's in a plane or it's in a a truck or something like that. Yeah. So it's rubbing up and down against the corner of the box, right? Because there's no buffer in there whatsoever, and that causes that fraying in the cheap paper. So that to the point that as soon as you can open that cover, you can get that butterflying, right? As soon as that happens, or if it can happen during pressing, right? Which is unfortunate. I have seen it happen once or twice during pressing, where it just kind of pops because it's just so poorly made. So it becomes something that has to be constantly looked after. All the modern books that come through my shop, I have to make sure, every one of those that they're that they're staying safe, and I'm not butting the release paper between them too close, or if I'm using something thicker stock to pop out a spine bend, that I don't pop the damn top corner or bottom corner for that matter. But yeah, that Butterflied Corner has been murdering books, murdering grades, right? Because it's an automatic decrease. I wouldn't say probably it takes you from like down to a 9.6 at least.
Oh yeah, at least
in some cases. So that's been a significant challenge.
Yeah,
Carlito
I mean,
and Jet.
it's the modern market is so dependent on cleaning, pressing, not so much the cleaning, but the pressing that, and the grading. The pressing and the grading of moderns is like 50% of those industries, at least right now. I mean,
Right.
what the submissions to CBCS and CGC, it's probably 50% moderns. The pressers are overwhelmed and backed up, and it's at least 50% of that stuff's moderns. People are buying this stuff, and you got to press it because they all come. Nothing comes off the rack anymore in good shape. It's all got that wave to it anyway. So
Oh yeah.
now
And that actually happens a lot with the image books.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got all these books going off to pressers and to CGC that they're going to make changes to the grading scale when you have new types of paper being sent in that are all just, are displaying common defects in that genre that didn't exist before on other books. It's such a large part of the hobby now, so it makes sense that they would do that. But man, it's killing grades, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's going to be a significant challenge across the board, just for anybody who's sending in books, right? In knowing what to look for in the different manufacturers, paper types, things of that nature. And so I'm going to change things up a little bit. I want to actually talk about something that you've had going on for the last year that I've been kind of tracking.
All right.
And it's something I like to call 4-color investment. And
Nice.
Of the people that I know in the community, I want to say you're definitely at the top of that, because when you go and you're flipping books or you're working through stuff, I mean, you are putting your money into top level books, right? And last year you went out and you bought pretty much all of the Spider-Man keys in like 6 or better, or probably even 7 or better grades, right? And you were holding on to those for a bit, right? Rightly so, as that market continued to ride north. So tell us about how that's paid off for you.
Yeah, so it's paid off pretty good. I appreciate the compliment you're giving me. I don't think I'm doing anything special. I'm just sort of ramping up and sort of putting more and more money at risk, and there is risk to it. But yeah, so last year I decided to do like an ASM project, an investment project, and I invested in.
Let's be honest. When we're talking about risk and we're talking about buying books, putting your money into books.
Yeah.
Of the risk, rainbow that might be there, I would definitely have to say that Spider-Man is the lowest risk in putting your money out there. So I can definitely see the reason for it.
There's low risk and high reward. I mean, so yeah, that was a good thing to pick. But it was like an investment project. I put like $40,000 into Spider-Man books, and I targeted the keys from 1 to 15. After that, and I did some research ahead of time to decide what I was going to go after, and it looked to me after about 12 or 13, the numbers on the census really start to climb as far as where the grades are. But then 14
especially
and 15
in the high grade
nice
stuff, right?
Yeah, I wanted to include 14 and 15 obviously because those are nice keys. So I went from 1 to 15. I never got a 1, but I was picking them up in grades that I thought were really quality investment grade like level stuff. And not all of them hit that high, but I had an 8.0 of number 4. I had a 7.5 of 2 and 3. I have a 7.5 of 14 and a 7.5 of 15. I still have those. And then
so
I had a 6.0.
For those who don't know, we're talking about 2 is the first Vulture, 3 is the first Doc Ock.
I had 6.
6 is the first Lizard. 14 first Green Goblin, obviously. 15 is Craven.
And then I have 13 first Mysterio.
And then first Mysterio.
Yeah, so that was my investment project, which I started back in probably May of last year. So we're coming up on a year since then. I probably would have held them longer, but I decided I wanted to invest in some other stuff that are outside of comics. So I ended up making really nice profits on the 2, the 3, and the 4 is First Sandman. I had 2 copies of
4,
that.
Yeah, 4. That's right. 4 First Sandman.
Yeah, a 7.0 and an 8.0. So I sold those, and it wasn't, it's not rocket science. I picked a really hot category in a hot market, and I picked investment grade examples of keys in that category, and I just bought them. You know, you got to look, you can find a little variation in price on the market and try to find good ones, good copies at a decent price, but I didn't get steals on them. And then just buy and hold. And my plan was to hold them for like a year. And I've started selling them. And I've sold 2, 3, and both of my 4s. And one of my 14s, I had 2 14s. I sold one of those.
That's right. I remember you got that second 14 from. I was like,
that
was criminal what you got that for.
Yeah, that one was legit a steal compared to all the other ones. But yeah, so you find a category that's hot, you find good examples within that category, and you put your money in it. And it takes some discipline to sit on them for a while and put that money out there. And then, you move them down the road, 6 months to a year later, and you take your profits out. And it worked out really well. I'm not in a hurry to sell the 14 and 15 because I made so much profit on the 2, 3, and 4 that I sold.
So that's the question that I wanted to ask is like, what are we talking about in terms of percentage of profit?
Yeah, so I made about 35% profit on the ones I've sold so far.
Holy crap.
And this is big investment.
When you're talking about books of that size, that magnitude, I mean, we're talking about books that are $5,000, $6,000, $10,000.
Yeah, I think I spent, I'll go through the numbers for you roughly. On 2 and 3, on number 2 and number 3, they're both 7.5s off white to white. I had $15,000 in those 2 books.
Okay.
So if you think about what they're going for now, you're hard pressed to find either of those for much under 15
each.
So I made massive profits on those because I sold both of those in 5 digits, well into the 5 digits. So I made a lot on that. And then the 4, the 8.0 is a really premium grade, and I got a pretty nice price on that. And I had, I had 7 into that, and I got 5 digits out of that. So that were nice. And then I actually did a trade with the lower grade number 4. So yeah, there was probably 35% profit after fees. I sold one on Elite. I sold a couple on the boards. And then I sold one privately. And then I sold one in a claim sale I did. So it was just an investment project. I like to do investment projects every year. And last year was a Spider-Man. You can't go wrong with Silver Age Spider-Man. And I'll tell you, you could really make nice gains if you pick a grade that's going to draw the most appreciation. And you don't have to go into the 9s on Silver Age. Like 7.5, it's not a cheap book. But a 7.5 on an early ASM is a quality grade. It's tough to find 7.5s. They don't come up often, and higher-end collectors want those. They're very easy to move.
And which book was that?
Number 2 and 3 were both 7.5s.
Yeah. So obviously the more abused. Now you also had a high grade 41 as well, right?
I did, and I bought that sort of as an impulse buy because I felt the price was good, and I know that's a hot book because the Rhino, first appearance of Rhino, that's a tough book to find a high grade. So I was watching an auction, and there was an 8.5 white pager, and I threw a bid out, and I won it. And I ended up doubling my money on that. That's right.
I'm sure. Yeah, no, because that book is I can tell you, I've never come across anything higher than a 5, right? Like that I've actually been able to visibly see. It's so tough to find that book. Apparently, it was one that everybody loved, right? Because they've shown it so much love over the years.
Well, it's a good book.
Abused it.
Of the later issues, the only ones I would personally be investing in would be like 41 and 50. Obviously, is a good one, and then maybe like 39 and 40. I would probably try to get into like the 9.0 range on those, 8.5, something like that.
Yeah, I think those are going to be a little bit more common. Yeah. They're the lower end keys on that.
Yeah, but I mean, look, early Silver Age Spider-Man books is like blue chip investments, and I just wanted to put some money into an investment and hold it, sort of like a stock investment. And so I did that. And you can't go wrong with Silver Age Spider-Man. You really can't.
It's one of those things where it's like I kind of respect the balls that you had, going after this and doing it because, to be able to sink that kind of cash into something that you have intention of just holding on to for sale, at a later date. And we all know how this market is, right? This market changes and fluctuates. Like right now, we can see there's a lot of books that are on the downturn, right? Like all those people who went out and bought giant-sized X-Men at the peak, right, are hurting right now because that book has dropped 40% at least in the
Oh, yeah,
last 6 months, right? Going after Spider-Man, obviously, hot on the heels of, or actually you were doing it in front of a Spider-Man movie that was actually coming out, and you were
yeah.
still able to sell those even after the movie came out and still make massive profits on this.
Well, I'll tell you, in collecting in the Silver Age, look, there's Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, Copper Age, Modern, all that.
Yeah.
The premier category for investing is Silver Age. That's where the most action is. That's where the most demand is.
Yeah.
So when you get into Silver Age, I think pre 64, so like from 60 to 63, the books, there's not a ton of them out there. Once you hit 64, the numbers really double on the census. They're
Yeah.
much more available. Something like
Hero stuff came out.
1 versus an FF1 is no
Yeah.
comparison on the availability. So if you go early Silver Age Marvel, that's blue chip stuff. And then just stick with keys, get a presentable book, and if you can afford to get a nice investment grade of it, yeah, you really can't go wrong. They're excellent investments, and it's just how long do you want to hold it? The longer you hold it, the more it will go up. And my plan was not to hold these forever. And then there was some other stuff outside of comics I wanted to invest in. But I'll tell you, this is the biggest investment project I've done so far since I've been back in the hobby. And I put $40,000 into Spider-Man books, and it was a little crazy. I mean, it's a little scary to lay out that much money on stuff you don't personally collect, and it's like real money. And then you just got to sit on it, and you don't know what's going to happen, the economy or the hobby or anything.
Yeah, I mean, look where we're at now. But I would still hazard a guess to say that there are still people out there buying those books, buying those investment grade books.
Yeah.
So the question really is should people be holding or selling those investment grade books right now?
Yeah. So look, there's a variety of different types of people in the hobby. There are collectors, and then there's flippers, and there's everything in between. If you are not just strictly collector, like buy and hold everything, if you are willing to make some moves back and forth, look, nobody ever went broke taking profits. And if you take profits, you will always move forward. So if you're up big on a book, there's nothing wrong with selling it. And you don't want to try to time the market. But if you're up 30, 40, 50% on a book, there's nothing wrong with selling it. You can get another copy down the road. These things do fluctuate. There's other books I'm sure everybody wants that they haven't had, so you can get other stuff. But you really have to be able to let go of pieces of art that you love. But you just have to remind yourself there's other pieces of art you will be able to get that you haven't had. This will open up new opportunities for you. It's not easy to do because we get emotionally attached to this stuff. But look, what I shoot for is like 30%. If you make 30% on a book, I mean, that's a good investment you're going to find anywhere in the world in anything. 30% in under a year is a phenomenal return. If you have a book that you're thinking about selling, you're not sure where it's going to go, if you're up 30%, I would never hold it against you for selling it 30% profit, especially if it's under a year. I mean, that's a great return, man.
I bought a book that at a market price, like when it was stated at the time, and like immediately after, it had already gained 30%. I'm looking at it right now, and it's already up 30%. And I can honestly say, hey, I'm definitely sitting pretty. I have no intention of selling it, and that's really the kind of the challenge. I haven't gotten to that part where I'm purchasing things specifically to sit on them, right? Because I have. For me, for my collecting, I still have a number of things that I'm after. I mean,
right.
Case in point, right? The 60, right? My Grail run of books that I want to get, within 5 years, right? And I'm making great strides in it, right? But it also causes me to think about what I have in my collection, what I need to get rid of, how I want to, continue to be able to pursue that, because none of the money that I've gotten, I mean, I'm up to 10 already, right? I've only actually shown, I think, 6 or 8 at this stage, but not one of those books has come out of my personal finances, right? It has all been funded from different maneuvers, different sales, things like that, selling duplicates and things like that. And then I'll go out and buy a duplicate, 2, 3, 4 copies of the same book that I've already got, I'll slab them, I'll flip them, and I'll put that money back. And I aspire to be doing what you're doing right now, which is being able to turn those books into larger profit areas, and those larger profit areas being able to turn those into a single book that I can get that 30% on, and then go and flip that and then bring that money back in.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Another thing that helps, though, is, look, I'm also a collector. I have books I buy that I don't want to sell and I hold and I just keep because I love them. They're mostly golden age, but you have a certain amount of money to work with. Put half of it, divide it into 2 piles, and have your investment pile and then your collecting pile. And then you need two things that are crucial that I see a total lack of out there in the hobby. And one is patience and one is discipline. Patience and discipline. Man, I just see people just disregarding these things. If you have a little patience and you have a little discipline, divide your money into 2 piles. You may not be able to buy anything with either pile yet, but have a pile that you use to invest, and use that pile to buy stuff that you're not necessarily looking to collect, but you think it's a good investment, and put your money into that, and then move that when you make a profit. And then the profits you get, put half of that into your collector pile. Your collector pile will grow out of virtually nothing. And your investing pile is just back and forth, books coming and going that you're not planning on keeping.
Right.
It requires discipline because you have to sell the books when you have a plan. Like, here's what I do. People are like, oh my God, I can't believe you sold that. I'll buy a book with the strict intention of holding it for a certain amount of time and then selling it. And then when I get it, I really like it. And I'm like, maybe I should keep it. But I'm like, no, that's not why I bought it. I need to have the discipline to follow through on the plan. Otherwise, what's the point of making plans?
Yeah.
And then once you can do that and you can make the money, then you can build a little pile on the side for collecting, and you can buy the stuff you want to keep for your PC. I'm not a Spider-Man collector. You know that. I bought all those Spider-Mans, and people are like, DS, why are you don't even like Spider-Man? Yeah, like, I like Spider-Man. I watch the movies, I know the books, but I'm not a collector.
You're a savvy buyer. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, I mean, they were big books, and I'm not a Spider-Man collector, so I bought them with a strict intention of investing in them to move them down the road, and so they were easy to move. Other stuff's not as easy, but come up with a plan and stick to it, and then try to go forward, and you can enhance the quality of your PC by using some investment funds. That's basically what I do.
So I did something similar to that. So I bought a collection a few years ago, and I showcased it on my channel. All the, not all of it. I showed quite a bit of what I got, especially in the main categories. This big Marvel collection, and there were so many keys in this collection. It was missing a few. It didn't have like Fantastic Four 48, but it had a 52. But I didn't have a 52. So a number of these made it into my collection, but like I've been selling off the rest of it. But what I haven't done, and this is the diligence portion of that, right, is having that diligence that you're talking about, is I didn't go back and go, okay, I need to recoup the money that I spent on it initially as my investment nut. So I have that back for more investment. I haven't done that. But I have been like, I made a different conscious decision where I wanted to make sure that the money that was coming in, was going to something effective, not just blowing it on just mindless crap, that it was going towards these bigger books that I've been after. Which brings me actually.
There's a big difference between a strict collector and then a strict investor. I'm a little mix of both, but I am mostly an investor. I'm like 60% investor and 40% collector. But if you're 100% collector, it's going to be tough because the prices are going up and you're not generating any sales from your books. You're just buying and holding, and that makes it very difficult. So
very true.
Yeah, I would encourage people to try, and the only way you're going to learn it is to try, and you may lose some money. It's going to cost some money. No education in life is free, but if you try it, you'll get good at it over time. And then down the road, this is what I'm saying, the patience, a couple years, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, you will have a PC that's in a condition better than if you just don't sell anything. But it takes the patience. You've got to see like the sort of the long view, 3, 4, 5 years down the road is a reasonable view to put a plan into action, and you'll benefit your PC down the road. But it's not instantaneous. People want instant gratification, and there's a lack of patience and discipline in the hobby that's astounding to me.
It's true.
Not easy.
It's I don't know. I think it's everywhere. I don't think it's just in the hobby.
Yeah, that's true. It is everywhere.
So that does make it more of a challenge. So we got one last book. We're going to crack open, and then we're gonna get back to the burning question of who's the greatest comic book artist of the Golden Age. So there's going to be a couple of people who are going to send me some hate mail on this one because I know that they're looking for it, but I was looking for it too. So now that I found it, I can tell you guys where to find them the next time they come up. I do help a lot of people out with their collections, but I got to tell you, when you come across a book like this, that's again, it's not easy to track down. It really isn't. People always put a lot of tape on this, but they don't really.
Well, I share links to books to people all the time, but if it's a book I'm looking at, I don't say a damn word over.
Yeah, right.
I just keep it to myself and try to get it, and don't tell anybody.
This is a sharp copy. So this is a Dell. I want to say this is a 4-color. Yeah, it's a Dell 4-color. I cannot remember. Oh, it's number 375. And you're gonna like this one. So I'm a big Deja Thoris fan, and this is the first appearance of Deja Thoris in comics.
Nice. It's
John Carter of Mars. It's a 4-color classic from Dell, issue number 375 from the Golden Age. And the cover's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool cover, but it's not like some massively great like Frazetta style art, but it is pretty cool. I gotta love it. They've got John Carter on Mars dressed like a freaking knight, pretty much.
Yeah,
going to fighting this guy with a sword. So that's pretty awesome. But it's in great condition. I mean, it is just. I mean, it's easily. I'd call it a 6.5 to a 7. It does have some slight color breaks around, so I think it's going to stay around a 6.5, but it might hit a 7 after a press. But I'm looking forward to reading that story and then sending it out for grading because that is a sharp looking book. So VV and Robert G, I apologize. I'll let you know where the next one comes up because I know that they're hot on the tails of this one. But yeah, this one's mine. Sorry guys. And I'm not ashamed to say that I bought this off of Hip Comic actually.
Oh.
And the great thing about it is that buying from this particular seller led me to his website where I found some other really great Golden Age stuff. And actually, it's helped me to find one of the books that's on my 2022 hunt list. So I'll be looking to get that relatively soon. And hopefully some other things from there. So happy to have gotten that and happy to have worked with that seller. But yeah, Hip Comic is it's a decent site, right? And they've got a lot of inventory on there. So if you have the opportunity, go check that out. And let's.
I've been on there once or twice. I haven't bought anything from them, but yeah, I think that's definitely a good resource to add to your toolbox for finding books for sure.
Absolutely, I was really surprised at what I would find on there. I just went on there. I'm like, oh, let's type this in. I'm like, oh my god, they have it. And it's a marketplace, right? And actually, there was another one of these on there. It was lower grade. So, guys, if you're looking for it, it's on Hip Comic. I'll send the links out to them later.
Yeah, nice key.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really, really kind of really impressed with that one and really happy with it. And it's just great finding Golden Age books in solid condition.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan
for a good price.
Golden Age sci-fi too. So I bet when you crack that open and read it, it's some cool stories inside too.
Yeah, well, I mean, it already starts off. It's already Edgar Rice Burroughs, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just interested to see how they depict Deja Thoris in the Golden Age, right? Because she's very bikini clad, sword and sorcery in most of the modern depictions. So actually, let's just crack that thing open and show everybody. Let's see how she looks. Looks like that might be a decent back cover picture of her there. But let's see the interiors. Oh yeah, this thing's in great shape. Yeah, so this retells the Princess of Mars story. Yes, she does not look the same as her latter-day counterpart. Yes, she is very highly dressed
Oh, yeah.
in this. So yeah, not so much. Yeah, it's funny. They've given her more of a like an Asian style, right? Just more like a heavier garb. So yeah, still a great book, and a great golden age key. So let's answer this question. Let's find out what the community, who the community thinks is the greatest artist of the golden age, based on the poll that I put out yesterday. Let's see. Let's close that. And let's go here. We got 22 votes in. I didn't give a lot of time, and it is resoundingly Alex Schomburg by a matter of 50% over the others.
Landslide.
Absolute landslide. And you know what? I got to be honest with you. I would have hoped Matt Baker would have gotten a little bit more, but it looks like he got about 1 vote, and that's just a crime. Some of his romance work is fantastic. But LB Cole, 14%, tied neck and neck with Russ Heath, and Frank Frazetta edging forward a little bit with 18% for second place. But yeah, Alex Schomburg really killing it with the first place win there at 50%. So we all know the answer to that. We did have some write-ins, actually. I think I can pull those up. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Get some comments. And Dope Comic says LB, since I don't see Maurice Whitman as an option. Bonafide says he had to go with Russ Heath. And Bub's World says Wally Wood, which we kind of expected that would be the answer.
Yeah, Wally Wood, very classic, excellent artist. The Schomburg doesn't surprise me on this list, but it surprises me by that margin.
Right? Yeah. That's
but,
a pretty
he's got all those timelies and all that World War II stuff, all the timely heroes, the Submariners, the Cap, the Torch.
Yeah.
So tough
the Bender.
But Matt Baker's probably the top GGA artist ever. And
hands down.
I don't know. I think it's sort of a niche market still, but yeah, I don't know. Those get scarfed up so quick. Maybe there's not enough of them out there to sort of move the needle and get more people involved in them. But yeah, Matt Baker at 5% is a crime for sure.
Absolutely. But you know what? I'm going to try
on this list to be LB Cole.
Yeah, true. I mean, everybody. There's a lot of love for LB Cole. There really is. Yeah. But obviously, clearly not as much as there is for Alex Schomburg. And I think the next time we're going to present this, I'm going to give. I'm going to start it off on a Monday for a Thursday show and see if we can get a little bit more time on it. This was a little rushed, but I wanted to get it out there and kind of see what the community thought. So that's fantastic. DS, I want to thank you for hanging out with me tonight and helping me with my unboxings and talking Golden Age and a variety of other things. So where can people find you upcoming this week?
Well, I'm available on Instagram all the time if anybody wants to hit me up and chat about whatever. But otherwise, I do 2 shows weekly. One is on Monday night on Bub's channel. It's the No Faces chat we've been doing for several years. It's me and Bub and Metarog. And then on Thursday nights, it's about every other Thursday on Comic Core channel. We do Golden Guys, which is just a rambling chat about investing and collecting, mostly centered around Golden Age. We cover the major auctions. We cover some news. We do some artist highlights and just various stuff. And it's just sort of a random hangout about Golden Age comics. Those are mainly the 2 things I do when I'm not at work.
Yeah. And they should be going live in about a minute and a half or a minute here if they are still going tonight. So
yeah, they start at 10 p.m. Eastern. So if I'm not going to be on that show tonight, but if they are going, it'll be in a half hour from now.
So a half hour.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, and you're right. That show does have a tendency to run long.
It does. And, we do about 3 hours, I think, usually, and it's every other week. So there's a lot of material to cover. And I know a lot of our fans watch it on the replay and listen to it while they're doing other stuff.
That's where I usually catch it.
Yeah, it's like a podcast sort of thing, I guess. But yeah, it's a good time.
Very cool. Well, thank you again for coming and hanging out, and we'll catch you all soon, everyone. Everyone out there in YouTube, definitely we'll see you soon. All right.
All right. Thanks for having me.